सर्वस्व তোমা চরণে সম্পিয়া পড়েছি তোমার ঘরে। চরণে সম্পিয়া। So it's going to be like this for some time. So you have to be attentive here and repeat every word. Not a new song. सर्वस्व তোমা চরণে সম্পিয়া পড়েছি তোমার ঘরে। তুমি তো ঠাকুর তোমার কুকুর বলিয়া জানা হো মোরে। তুমি তো ঠাকুর তোমার কুকুর বলিয়া জানা হো মোরে। বাঁধিয়া নিকটে আমরা পালিবে রহিব তোমার দ্বারে। বাঁধিয়া নিকটে পালিবে প্রতিপাদনের আস্তান দিব রাখিব গড়ের পারে। আস্তান দিব প্রতিপাদনের প্রতিপাদনের আস্তান দিব রাখিব গড়ের পারে। প্রতিপাদনের আস্তান দিব तव निज जन प्रसाद सेविया उच्चिष्ट राखिबे जहाँ। जन प्रसाद सेविया আমার ভোজন পরমানন্দে প্রতিদিন হবে তাহা। আমার ভোজন পরমানন্দে প্রতিদিন হবে তাহা। বসিয়া শুইয়া তোমার চরণ চিন্তিব সতত আমি। তোমার চরণ চিন্তিব নাচিতে নাচিতে নিকটে যাইব যখন ডাকিবে তুমি। নাচিতে নাচিতে নিকটে যাইব যখন ডাকিবে তুমি। নিজের পোষণ কভু না ভাবিব রহিব ভাবের ভরে। ভক্তি বিনোদা তোমার পালক বলিয়া বরণ করে। সর্বস্ব তোমার চরণে সম্পিয়া পড়েছি তোমার ঘরে। তুমি তো ঠাকুর তোমার কুকুর বলিয়া জানা হো মোরে। তুমি তো ঠাকুর তোমার কুকুর বলিয়া জানা হো মোরে। I just read the translation before final touches for the setup is done. Now that I've surrendered all I possess, I fall prostrate before your house. You are the Supreme Lord. Kindly consider me your household dog. Chain me nearby and maintain me as you will. I shall remain at the doorstep and allow no enemies to enter your house. I will keep them at the bounds of the moat surrounding your home. Whatever remnants your devotees leave behind after honoring your prasad will be my daily sustenance. I will feast on those remnants with great ecstasy. While sitting up, while lying down, I will constantly meditate on your lotus feet. Whenever you call, I will immediately run to you and dance in rapture. I will never think of my own maintenance, but rather remain transported by a multitude of ecstasies. Bhaktivinoda accepts you as his only support. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. So in this song, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is stressing on the quality of full surrender, part of which, or one aspect of which, is submissiveness. And in today's talk, we'll discuss about one preliminary step before attaining that kind of submissiveness. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं दैवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. So today we'll be reading from Canto 1, Chapter 11, Text 7. One minute. So any discrepancies in the television, you should let us know because I have no vision of it. You can let Kamlesh know. No, I don't have to see it for them. भवायनस्त्वं भव विश्वभावना त्वमेव माता सुहृत्पते पिता त्वमेव माता सुहृत्पति पिता त्वं सद्गुरोर्नः परमं च दैवतम् यस्यानुवृत्त्या कृतिनो बभूविमा. Okay. भवायनस्त्वं भव विश्वभावना त्वमेव माता च सुहृत्पतिः पिता त्वं सद्गुरोर्नः परमं च दैवतम् यस्यानुवृत्त्या कृतिनो बभूविमा. भवाय नस्त्वं भव विश्वभावना त्वमेव माता च सुहृत्पतिः पिता त्वं सद्गुरुर्न परमं च दैवतम् यस्यानुवृत्त्या कृतिनो बभूविमा भवाय नस्त्वं भव विश्वभावना त्वमेव माता च सुहृत्पते पिता त्वं सद्गुरुर्न परमं च दैवतम् यस्यानुवृत्त्या कृतिनो बभूविमा One more, Prabhu. भवाय नस्त्वं भव विश्वभावना त्वमेव माता च सुहृत्पतिः पिता त्वं सद्गुरुना परमं च दैवतम् कृत्या कृतिनो बभूविमा Mataji, anyone wants to try? भवाय नस्त्वं भव विश्वभावना त्वं सद्गुरुना परमं दैवतम् यस्यानुवृत्त्या कृतिनो बभूविमा. Thank you. Bhavaya, for welfare. Na, for us. Tvam, your lordship. Bhava, just become. Vishwabhavana, the creator of the universe. Tvam, your lordship. Eva, certainly. Mata, mother. Atha, as also. Suhrit, well-wisher. Patihi, husband. Pita, father. Tvam, your lordship. Sadguru, spiritual master. Nah, our. Paramam, the supreme. Cha, and. Daivatam, worshipable deity. Yasya, whose. Anuvritya, following in the footsteps. Kritinaha, successful. Babhuvima, we have become. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda, Śrīla Prabhupāda ki. O Creator of the universe, you are our Mother, Well-wisher, Lord, Father, Spiritual Master and worshipable deity. By following in your footsteps, we have become successful in every respect. We pray, therefore, that you continue to bless us with your mercy. Purport: the all-good personality of Godhead, being the creator of the universe, also plans for the good of all good living beings. The good living beings are advised by the Lord to follow his good advice, and by doing so, they become successful in all spheres of life. There is no need to worship any deity but the Lord. The Lord is all powerful, and if He is satisfied by our obedience unto His lotus feet, He is competent to bestow upon us all kinds of blessings for the successful execution of both our material and spiritual lives. For attaining spiritual existence, the human form is a chance for all to understand our eternal relation with the Lord, with God. Our relation with Him is eternal. It can neither be broken nor be vanquished. May be forgotten for the time being, but can be revived also by the grace of the Lord if we follow His injunctions, which are revealed in the scriptures of all times and all places. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सह गणललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणि प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे कृष्णा. So we welcome all of you for Saturday supposedly IYF class, but everyone is here. Actually, eternally we are all young, so we all belong to IYF eternally. So today we'll be discussing 111.7, and the pretext of this is Krishna has left Hastinapur and he's entering Dwarka. And as he enters Dwarka, the first thing he does to herald his entrance into Dwarka is blowing the conch shell. So as he blows the conch shell and the vibration of the divine conch shell, Divya Shankar, permeates everyone's heart, then everyone feels great bliss because the fears and anxieties within their heart are all mitigated and are the hearts become free. And immediately they understand that Krishna, our Supreme Lord, our most beloved benefactor, has come to Dwarka. And so whatever they were doing, right, even though they were in between cooking or cleaning, looking after their child or cleaning the house, whatever responsibilities they were in, they immediately left it as it is and ran to attend to Krishna. So they started presenting Krishna with a lot of presentations. They started, welcoming Krishna by wonderful words. So this is the second of the prayers of the Dwarka Vasis. Dwarka Vasis um, addressing Krishna. And here what they're saying, they're telling Krishna that you have left us with instructions. You have left us with guidance to follow in our life. And by following that, we have become successful. In what? Spiritual life and failure in material life? No. We have become successful in all spheres of life because for a devotee, spiritual life is the only life that he has. Even his material life is a part of his spiritual life. So I'll just share one PPT. Can I share this? Yeah, done. Is it visible? Visible? Yeah. So this is Krishna entering Dwarka, and all the citizens, no matter how urgent their work was, they immediately left it and ran to attend to Krishna. Right? Yeah. So if you see the purport, Prabhupada begins with a beautiful statement. He says that the all good personality of Godhead, being the creator of the universe, also plans for the good of all good living beings. Right? Okay, of course, before I start, because I'm actually there's a lot to cover. It feels like being in college with a big PPT and less time to cover. But nevertheless, in spiritual circle, the most important empowerment comes from blessings. So I seek prayers and blessings of all the Vaishnavas. Many of you are elder than me, and I mean age-wise, and spiritually, all of you are elder. So I seek blessings of all of you, so that I can speak the right word in the right spirit, as purification of my heart and service to all of you. Yeah. So Prabhupada explains that the all good Supreme Lord always plans for the good of all his good living beings. So, what does that mean? So, Krishna is the absolute truth. When the demigods approach Devaki with Krishna in her womb, then they start the prayers, the Garbhastuti, with this verse Satya Satyavratam Satyaparam Te Satyam Satyasya Yonim Nihitam Sa Satye Satyasya Satyam Mrita Satyanetram Satyatmakam Tvam Sharanam Prapannaha. Oh dear Lord Krishna, you are Satya Vratam. That means whatever vow you take, you never go back on it. Whatever your Satya Param, that means your absolute truth. Your Satyasya Yonim. So absolute truth means there's no truth beyond him and there's no truth equal to him, and he is the source of all other things, all other truths. Right? Sarva Karana Karanam. Satyasya Yonim means he is the cause of all the relative truths, because we know that from Krishna comes, material energy also, and part of the material energy, how it functions is through the three modes, and three modes are responsible. The interaction, mutual interaction with one another, is what is responsible for creating relativities. So, what is relative mean practically is I might like a devotee because he glorified me yesterday. But if the same devotee occupies the bathroom when I have to use, then I will start developing some kind of a negative feeling towards that devotee. So, is a devotee good or bad? Is a devotee good or bad? Because once he glorified others, the other time he created disturbance for me. So, is he good or bad? He's always good. Yes, from the absolute platform, you're speaking like Krishna. So, absolute from the absolute platform, the devotee is always good because a pure soul can never be contaminated because he is part and parcel of Krishna, right? But from our standpoint, we find something good and bad. We find something, to like and something to hate, apman, labha, alabha, etc. Because we are stuck within the world created or orchestrated by the three modes. But Krishna is not like that. Krishna is a creator of the modes and hence he's beyond the modes. And being in that standpoint on absolute realm, he has nothing to have a relative viewpoint, right? Because whatever he does is completely absolute. He's never under Maya. Rather, one who surrenders to Krishna becomes freed from Maya. He's a source of liberation. I think Lakshman Puri is telling me to speak loudly. Okay. Yeah. So, if you see in third canto where Varahadev is fighting with Hiranyaksha, there Hiranyaksha throws very harsh words, and Prabhupada explains, the Bhagavatam explains how Varahadev felt bad by the words of Hiranyaksha. How will Krishna feel bad by the words of a living entity who is part and parcel of him? Can anyone explain why Varahadev felt bad? No, he insulted Varahadev. Like if someone calls me, animal in the forest, Vanagochara, then I'll feel bad. Okay, I'm not in the forest. I'm the beautiful city of Bangalore. I'm advanced. So, but Hiranyaksha told Varahadev that you are a Vanagochara and you are, the lowest of abominable creatures because you're a pig. And like that, he called him so many words, and Varahadev felt bad. It's described. And Varahadev, tolerating the insult of Hiranyaksha, did not attempt to call of Hiranyaksha, but went and saved the planet Earth from the bottom of the Garbha Udaka, and then he attended to Hiranyaksha. And that too with a verbal fight and then a physical fight. So why did Lord Varahadev feel bad? Why? Is he also having ego tussle? Is an ego tussle for Krishna? No. Yes? Okay, because he was not a devotee of Krishna. So what? Because so many atheists, they say that there's no God. And Prabhupada explains that when the impersonalists say that Krishna has no form, it's like them taking a stick and beating the angas of Krishna. They're severing the head of Krishna, beating the limbs of Krishna, and hence Krishna feels bad. But why is Krishna feeling bad if he's on the absolute platform? We feel bad because we are in the, under the three modes, right? So we have ego and this and that. But Krishna is beyond all that. He is the person giving liberation from the three modes. Then why is Krishna feeling bad? Just as you know, there are many slides. So, Okay, I'll tell Lakshman Pru's answer because it's baby language. So it is because Krishna has only one vision towards living entities. What is that vision? The vision of love. So whatever it is said that a spirit soul can do nothing to the extent that Krishna will stop loving him. You can do, you can never sin to such an extent that you can not be liberated by the holy name. You cannot sin to such an extent that Krishna says that I don't like this living entity anymore. Correct? So why is that? Because Krishna's love is on the absolute platform. And because his love is on the absolute platform, his love can never be whimsical. It's always absolute, it's always eternal. What he feels bad is about whether the living entity is progressing towards him or not. But this is also ego issue because is Krishna, is the living entity coming closer to me to serve me or is he going away from me? The point is me. So ego, no. Why he's concerned the living entity is coming closer to me or not? Because he knows by nature the living entity will only be happy, blissful, ecstatic in union with me, in serving me. So his point is your welfare, but that welfare is dependent on him. That's the nature. Understood? So that's why Varahadev feels bad. Another reason is because to give little, like all of you watched Narasimha movie, right? After a few months also we are discussing Narasimha movie. So all of you watched. Now if Varahadev appears very transcendental, and he is transcendental always, but in a literal viewpoint, literal perspective, he is like very transcendental and not affected by anything. And he just kills Naksha. It won't give us a thrill, na? Then it won't sell so many tickets all over the world because Krishna is creating that hype, that suspense. That's what creates. To add flavor to his leela, he feels bad. Otherwise, we should not understand that. We should not think that Krishna is having ego issue, right? So in this way, Krishna's vision towards the living entity is always absolute, eternal, and it's always loving. Okay, no matter what the living entity does. But the problem with us, the spirit souls, part and parcel of Krishna, being part and parcel of Krishna, we are also transcendental. We are also supposed to be on the absolute platform. But because we have come down into this material world, just like the raindrops, which is pure from the cloud. Of course, not today. Today is acid rain. But the raindrop which comes and mixes with the mud, it gets contaminated by the mud. But as the sun comes and evaporates the water, what happens? Again, the pure water is freed from the dirt of the mud and attains its original nature. Similarly, the spirit soul, we are all part and parcel of Krishna. Jivera Swarupahai, Krishna and Nityadas. So, but as we enter this material world, we get covered by layers and layers of false ego and so many things derived from false ego, like mind, intelligence, senses, etc. Right? In that way, our vision is tainted by the three modes, and it's not so simple as three modes. It's rather 81 levels of modes because Prabhupada gives that calculation. So our vision becomes tainted with the three modes, and our vision becomes defective because of the four defects. We all know because the senses are imperfect. Then we become illusioned. Then under illusion we perform any action. It's a mistake. And when we are mistaken because ego is big, we want to cheat others. Okay. So in that way, we actually can never understand by ourselves what is the best for me, right? Because we have relative faith in absolute truth and absolute faith in relative truth. Correct? Because the Supreme Lord is absolute truth. But we think if everything is going well as per my plan, then yes, Krishna exists. He is a very nice person. He is there for me, etc. The moment there's a slightest of reversal, then we doubt. Really, Krishna is there. Why cannot he see? Then we judge his omnipresence, omniscience, omnipotency, and everything. Correct? That is because of our defective vision. Actually, Krishna is. Many people ask, why do bad things happen to good people? So why do bad things happen to good people? Actually, because everything is under the orchestration of Krishna in one way, from a transcendental viewpoint, nothing is bad. Nothing is bad because of our ego, we are perceiving a situation as bad. Is that understandable? We are perceiving a karmic reaction as bad, we are perceiving a situational reversal as bad, but actually if we take shelter of Krishna in that situation is the perfect one, right? So because of the covering of false ego, we perceive a situation as bad. But actually, because everything is under the orchestration of Krishna, nothing in that sense is bad. Okay. So, because of our relative faith in absolute truth, our faith dwindles, and then we get confused and bewildered, and the living entity may take to the lower paths of living, like sense gratification. Okay, you might have thought hellish destination this and that, but sense gratification is also um, trividham narakasyedam. It opens the gates of hell. So in this regard, there's a saint called Gopal Das in the Madhva Sampradaya, and he says that I actually do not know what to ask you, Krishna. He says that Yena Bedali Ninna Balige Bandhu. By approaching you, coming to your vicinity, proximity, I do not know what to ask, because if I ask you for give me a mother, then how much helpful was Dhruva's mother for him? Yes, definitely she gave good advice, but she herself admitted that I cannot help you because I'm a subordinate queen. How much helpful was the mother of Chitraketu's child? Because she could not protect him from the other co-wives. If I ask for a father, what good is a father like Hiranyakashipu? If I ask for a brother, what good is a brother like Vali or Sugriva, depending on whom you like more? Correct? Or if I ask for wealth, what is the use of that wealth if it's going to corrupt and bewilder me like Ravana, sons of Kuver, Duryodhan or Suyodhan, Sugriv, okay, yeah, Sugriv, etc. Correct? So in this way he says, ಬೇಡುವೆನು ನಾನಿನ್ನ ಬೇಡತ ಕುಲದೇವ ನೀಡೆನೆಂಬುದು ನಿನ್ನ ಮನದೊಳಿತ್ತೇ ಮೂಡಲಾಗಿರಿವಾಸ ಗೋಪಾಲ ವಿಠಲ ಪರರ ಬೇಡದಂತೆ ಮಾಡಯ್ಯ ಹರಿಯೇ. So he says that whatever I ask you, you please give me what you think is the best. Manadolit, in your mind, what you feel that is best for me, you give that. Let me be satisfied with that. But make sure that I do not approach anyone else besides you for the things I want. Right? And I do not ask for things which is not good for me because we are stuck in relative vision. But the pure devotees on the absolute platform, like you see Mother Yashoda, if you see Mother Yashoda is treating Krishna, how she is treating Krishna, she is playing with the child, she is carrying Krishna, but Krishna is actually the bearer of the entire universe because she saw in the mouth, and also as Anantashesh, she is supporting all the planets of the universe. Correct. Then she is bathing Krishna, who is the originator of Ganga. Yes. And she is decorating Krishna, who is described as Mangala Anga, whose every body part is the most auspicious, that she is decorating. Who has unlimited qualities, she is tying up and making him limited in that sense. Who is Nitya Tripta, Apta Kama, and Atma Ram, she is feeding her own milk, right? So Krishna, being on the absolute platform, is completely subordinate to the love of his devotees. Because what is greater, tattva or rasa? Rasa is greater. That Krishna gives. Because many people have a doubt. How Satyavratam, he is actually going against his vow. He is saying that I did not eat mud. It's a lie. It's plain lie. You ask Balram, Guru, he tells that it's a lie. Correct? He told Mother Yashoda it's a lie. So why did Krishna lie if he's the absolute truth? Because the highest aspect of absolute truth is love. So in that rasa, to increase love between his devotees, he actually lied. And because it increases the eternal love, that is not a blemish on his name as Satyavratam. Okay. So this vision we understand. Why this is important? Because this forms the basis of what we're going to discuss now. So what are the types of living entities? Basically, there are three living entities. One is a pure devotee who is beyond the moods, like Mother Yashoda, and Nitya Siddhas or Sadhana Siddhas who have attained the Siddhi of absolute nature. And within the modes, there are two. Dvau imau sargavlokesmin daiva asura evacha. Vishnu bhakti smrito daiva asurastad viparyaya. So the Padma Purana also Krishna explains in 16th chapter that there are two kinds of living entities in this world who are bound by the modes. One is called the Daiva, other is called Daitya or Asura. And what is the difference? Prabhupada explains the only criterion of difference is okay, but what Prabhupada says? One word. Obedience. Haribo. Yes, correct. Obedience. That's the only criterion. He is not saying pure devotion. Right? He's not saying pure devotion. He's not saying, who's engaged in my service 24 hours a day, etc. He's saying simply obedience. And we'll see why that is also important. So, under mixed devotees, we have, further categorized based on the modes. And I told you there are 81 levels of those modes. And when a person becomes predominated by sattva guna, he becomes demigod. Sometimes, you compare, Prabhu, your action today, you reminded me of Indra. And he'll say, Prabhu, what is this? You're comparing me to Indra as if we are at higher sattva guna than Indra. Actually, Indra being the topmost of demigods, he is so much high sattva guna, but is not Shuddha sattva. Still Rajas and Tamas is there. But actually, he's such an exalted personality that who appears in his yogic fire? Which form of Vishnu? Hmm? Shira, no. What's his name? No. Upendra. Right? Upa Indra. Upa means near. Indra means Indra. Upa Indra means actually Vaman Dev. That's his name. Upendra is name of Vaman Dev. But anyway, Lord Upendra appears in the fire of Yajna. When we do Yajna, nobody appears. And when we chant the holy name, which is the recommended Yajna for the age also, we are not feeling Krishna's presence. Correct? So then we have to compare who is Indra and who are we. Right? Actually, demigods are very exalted because they're predominated by Sattva Guna. And hence, even in Samudran Manthan Leela, you will see that Krishna went and gave so much help to the demigods. And we'll discuss that further. Why? Because they're ready to obey the orders of the Supreme Lord. Not that because they're pure devotees. Not that because they're always engaged and thinking of Krishna, etc., etc. No. Not because they were like Prahalad or Dhruva or any other pure devotee. Because they were simply ready to do this one thing, that is obedience. Right? So, what is obedience? Sometimes obedience, as we know from our moral science class or from school or from the worldly experience, obedience means something which is painful and pinching to the heart because it means subduing the false ego to accept something else, right? But actually, obedience can become the preliminary step to something very beautiful and ecstatic in spiritual life. So obedience, yes, it more or less means that we put aside our opinion and accept some higher opinion or higher injunction. Jai Shri Shri Radha Madhava Bhagwan ki. So we accept a higher injunction for a greater cause. That is obedience. And submissiveness is a more deeper aspect of obedience, as obedience stands for external show of subjugation. Submissiveness is internal, right? So submissiveness means to yield to another's opinion without having any resentment or alternate opinion in one's heart. For example, Madhavendra Puri is, he had a dream that Krishna asking him to go all the way to Jagannath Puri to collect Chandan. He just got up and went. Say, hey, Krishna, he had to catch me only or what? Or kya karna? What can be done? Ek karna hi padega. Right? He never thought like that even for a second. That is called submissive. Because he's completely accepted Krishna as the supreme well-wisher, as the Vaishnavas as the supreme well-wishers. So he has no separate opinion. But obedience is not like that. Its obedience is more applicable for a conditioned living entity who has alternate opinion but is ready to humble himself to put it aside and accept something from the higher authorities. That is obedience. For example, fast on Ekadashi days. Obedience or submissiveness? Can be submissive also, but for us, yeah, it's obedience. Because we don't want to fast. But it's good. Krishna will be pleased. Yes, for Krishna, I will do it. But I have some problem with it, but it's okay. For you, I will do it. but I don't like it, but I'll do it like that. So you have an internal battle going on. That is this one. But if you have resentment, I think in another Prabhupada says about resentment, like "Cheh, why am I chanting? Why am I doing spiritual life? Why am I fasting on? That is not even obedience. That is something else which is not good, not conducive for progressive spiritual life. Okay, so basically, to follow the injunctions of scriptures, to follow the instructions of the spiritual master, even when we are not fully in line with them or their thought, then it means obedience. If you have completely accepted their will as my will, then it is submissiveness. So here Prabhupada is, um, you know, in a lecture, he says this. So Matyaji Mam Namaskuru. And what is that duty if you have no obedience? You have to obey. Therefore, it is said Namaskuru. You offer your respect. So bhakti minus respect, that is not bhakti. So obedience is performed on the platform of respect and duty, where submissiveness is a evolved um, quality that is performed on the level of love. Okay, so bhakti minus respect, that is not bhakti, which means bhakti entails that we become obedient to Krishna and his representatives. So why obedience? Why it is important to be obedient? Because when you're not ready to accept another opinion, which is coming from a bona fide source like scriptures or Vaishnavas, a spiritual master, or Krishna himself, then it allows us to act so-called freely, but actually that's called whimsical nature. So Prabhupada explains in Bhagavatam purport that a person who knowingly violates the rules acts in lust. So that is nothing but whimsical nature. So our mind doesn't want to hear, but when we are like some of you, or at least few of you, might feel that this lecture, when will he end? It seems like he has so many slides left, and so I don't want to hear, let me go. The mind may say, you may not say, but your mind may say, and then you still put it aside and say, no, I'm hearing this for the purification of my heart. That is called obedience. Krishna appreciates it so much, and you'll see how much Krishna appreciates. Why? Because through that obedience you're giving up whimsical nature of your mind, which is responsible for samsara chakra parivartayedyat. And then, yes, in the Vaikuntha world, all the living entities are in oneness with the Supreme Lord because they never defies orders. So in Vaikuntha world, there's submissiveness. Here in the material world, however, they are not sammata. They are asammata or disagreeable. This human form of life is a chance to be trained to be agreeable to the orders of the Supreme Lord. So when we start becoming obedient to Krishna and his representatives, we have begun and we are making progress in the initial path of spiritual life. Otherwise, when we don't want to submit, don't want to surrender, don't want to obey, then you're not making much progress. And Prabhupada writes that simply by becoming agreeable to the orders of Supreme Person of Godhead or obedient, by developing love for God, Dhruva got the chance to personally meet the Supreme Lord face to face. What was possible for Dhruva Maharaj is possible for every one of us. Prabhupada is writing. Amazing, no? Purport of 4th canto, 12th chapter, 22nd verse. What is possible for Dhruva is possible for all of us because he was obedient. So if we also become obedient, Prabhupada is saying that we also can see Krishna face to face. Of course, the hidden question is, do we want to see? But that's topic for another day. Obedience is the first law of discipline. Okay, so if we have to control our senses, if we have to give up whimsical nature, no PPT. I've made it so much struggle sitting in hospital. So once, that time Brahmananda Swami Maharaj, he told Prabhupada, I don't want to, Prabhupada said, you should pay obeisances to spiritual master. He said, I don't want to pay obeisances. I don't feel like, paying obeisances. And Prabhupada said, first do it, then you will feel like. Similarly, many a times we go as per the mind, as per the whimsical nature of the mind, and we don't want to do certain things in life because we don't feel like doing. But Prabhupada says, when it comes to spiritual life, you first do it. You obey the orders of Krishna and spiritual master, and then you naturally start feeling like doing it. Right? You can connect here only, I think. Yeah. So once in NYC Brooklyn temple, when Jayadvaita Maharaj was doing, giving class, Bhagavatam class, and so he was starting his Jai Radha Madhava. And they, like many disciples of Prabhupada, they have this style of, singing Jai Radha Madhava. They'll first play Kartal. Jaya Radha, like that. So when Maharaj was playing this, there was no Mridangam player. And then I picked up, mustering all the guts, whatever I had in the heart. So I picked up the Mridanga. But somehow Maharaj was playing at that pace which I was not getting the Prabhupada beat. And for Maharaj, you have to play Prabhupada beat only. Once in Pune temple, I was playing, singing Jai Radha Madhava, and there was one good Mridangam player, but he was playing his own beats. It sounds nice, but Maharaj was simply shaking his head, and he said, "Give the Mridanga," and he simply played Prabhupada beat. We thought that Maharaj is picking up all the subtle, the nay and te and all that. Then he said, "Just play this." So when I could not get the beat. Maharaj was doing like this, and I was just sweating. And somehow not getting, and the more anxious you are, the more it you cannot do it. So then Maharaj stopped the kirtan. Just imagine Jayadvaita Maharaj stopping Jayadvaita Madhava because of your mistake. And he stopped the kirtan and he said, "Just hear and follow, just hear and follow, and that is the process to perfection." Then, my God, of course, that time I didn't go. Later I was thinking about it. I was fully shattered. God. Of course, Mara was kind to just stop there. And then another devotee I gave to the. Of course, somehow he also could not get, then Mara just tolerated and continued. But the point is, that is the process. You just hear and follow. But what becomes a barrier to this simple process is false ego, whimsical nature, right? Faith in our own mind. So, whom to obey? Now, Bhishma, he says when he sees the Pandavas, Aho kashtam aho nyayam yadyuyam brahm dharmanandana jivitum narhasi klishtam vipradharma chutashrayah. O Pandavas, aho kashtam, so much difficulty, so much anyay, so much injustice has happened to you, all who are most virtuous. Dharmanandana, you are the, you are coming, you are actually descendants of religion personified. But it's so unfortunate that all of you had to go through so much difficulty. It's actually not your fault. It's not a karmic reaction, but rather because you have taken shelter of Vipra, Dharma, and Achyuta, that means Krishna and the scriptures, religion, Dharma, and Vipra, the Vaishnavas, you were protected through all these mishaps in all of your in your life. Right? So even though the mishaps were so overwhelming that nobody else would have survived, you have survived because you are protected by this divine force. So when we obey Krishna, the religious scripture, that is the word of Krishna, and the Vipra, the representatives of Krishna, then we are on safe path. So Achyuta or Krishna, why do we obey Krishna? We have already seen that he is our best well-wisher. His vision is absolute, untainted by the three modes. Just like child, obeys the parents, then parents feel like giving him gifts and toys and make him happy. Similarly, the citizens of a state or country, they want to, behave as good citizens, contributing to the national welfare. Then the prime minister or the king becomes happy, and he is ready to provide them so many facilities to make them have a good life in this world, right? Similarly, when we obey God, when we obey the word of God and the representatives of God, then what happens is Krishna automatically bestows so much of his mercy, even in this world, even visible mercy, right? Even visible mercy he bestows so that we can have a um, prosperous life. Just like the natural resources, we're dependent on sunlight, rain. Sometimes rain is good, but if it rains more than required, then it is, very torturing, correct? Because all the mud becomes so squishy, your shoes are spoiled, this is spoiled, you won't get cab, etc. So many practical problems, correct? And if you have so much sunlight and no rain, then it leads to so many other problems, dehydration, strokes, etc. So in this way, even natural resources, for them to be optimum, Krishna is, in control. Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti. So if we please Krishna, naturally there will be endowment of so many resources for our benefit. In the sense, not selfish benefit, but rather to be used in Krishna Seva. Because if there is too much rain, people cannot come in time for Mangalati. So Krishna service is spoiled. Like that. So that is the devotee's vision. So you see the prosperous kingdom of Yudhishthir and so many other kings. They were prosperous because they were following the word of Krishna. And Vipra, our spiritual authority, spiritual master, etc. And Dharma. Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te Karya Akarya Vyavastitau Nyatva Shastra Vidanuktam Karma Kartumihārhasi. So Krishna says that one should therefore read the scriptures because they are word of God and beyond that four defects. And then he knows what to do, what not to do. But who obeys? The demigods. The demigods are the ones who are favored by Krishna. Many times, even Parikshit Maharaj asked this question. You are saying, my dear Shukadeva Goswami, that Krishna is para, he's transcendental, he's absolute truth. But how come he always favors demigods? When Indra does a mistake, he gives him, loving slap. If someone else does a mistake, he just kills him. And don't you think Krishna is partial? How come this material quality is there in the heart of the Supreme Lord? But it actually, even the loving, even killing of Krishna is being on the absolute platform is out of his love. Because that is what it takes for that living entity to learn his lesson. And you see, the demigods, they were so obedient that when Indra was told this child in the womb of Kayadu is actually a great Mahabhagavat, immediately he seized his Operation Kill. So to kill Prahlad in the womb. And Aditi, when she wanted children, what happened? She approached her husband, who is Kashyap Muni, and he told her to perform a payovrata process of worship. And she followed the injunctions so carefully, obeying the rules so carefully that who appeared as a son? Vamandev appeared. But Diti, on the other hand, overwhelmed by lust and also desire for children, she approached Kashyap Muni at the wrong time. Kashyap Muni warned her, but she said no. I don't care for all these things. And then she, when because of that union at the wrong time, without Garbhadan Samskar, etc., who came out of the womb of Diti? Yeah, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Understood? So just by obedience, you are so much favored by Krishna. And Krishna encourages even the mundane worshippers of Krishna, who means those who approach Krishna with a mundane purpose. Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritana arjuna. Sukritana means one who has pious credit. Krishna is saying these people are good people. Why? Even though they're coming out of anxiety, in want of something, just out of curiosity or to know more about me, even though it is not pure devotion, they are ready to obey the laws of scriptures. And hence, I like them. But demons, on the other hand, are against Krishna. Now, why Krishna favored demigods? Why Krishna did not, or Lord Ram did not, favor Ravana? Actually, one time Vidura asked this question to Lord Ram. What if Ravana comes now and tells, oh Lord Ram, kindly forgive? He says, yes, I will make him the king of Lanka. Yes, correct. And Vidura will be king of Ayodhya. And for me, I'll go somewhere else. Correct? That's what Lord Ram said. So he says, what is that? Abhayam Dadamyetad Vakam Mama. I give this that anyone Sakrideva Prapannoyam Tavasmeti Chayachate. Anyone just for a second turns to me and says, oh Lord Krishna, oh Lord Ram, actually, till now I've been such a big miscreant, but now I want to let all of that go and I simply want to surrender unto you. Anyone says that I am yours, even for Sakrideva Prapannoyam, even for a moment, anyone says, I'm ready to accept him. That is Krishna's big-heartedness or absolute nature. Right? So why demigods, why the demons are not being favored? They never turn to Krishna. Never turn to Krishna. Who approached Krishna for help during, the Samudra Manthan Leela? Demigods or demons? Demigods. Every time when in trouble, we may criticize the demigods that every time they're trouble, they get anxiety. But they get anxiety and go to Krishna. But if we get anxiety, we start cursing Krishna. Then that's a second question. Are we Daiva or Daitya? Right? So that's the thing. So demigods are so exalted, and that's why many acharyas, even other like Madhva Sampradaya or Ramanuja Sampradaya, they don't criticize the demigods at all. Rather, they are known as Narayana Angaja, right? They're part of the limbs of Lord Narayana. And demons, we know there are four types: Buddha, Naradhama, Maya, Apaharta Jnana, and Asurim Bhava. And there are four levels. So this is what is important. Many times, so this is described by Prabhupada in 1623 purport. So demons are also those people who don't know about Vedic injunction. That's one. Who know the example of those who don't know about Vedic injunction? 3, 2, 1. The atheistic scientist, mundane philosophers, etc., etc. Many people say, yeah, I'm a spiritualist. I ask what's a philosophy? Then everything is love. That's all. Okay, do you believe in God? No, that we don't believe. What is the use of that philosophy? Correct, no? It's all superficial. It's like you say the parrot is saying Krishna Krishna, you choke it, you're not going to say Krishna Krishna like that. So don't know about Vedic injunction? Know theoretically, but don't apply. Example? Huh? Any Brahmana, okay. Scriptural? Hiranyakashipu, right? So Hiranyakashipu told so much philosophy, even told, the supreme God who is in charge of all this. And he said, I want to kill that God and drink his blood. Then what is the value of that God? So like that. Follow rules and regulation, moral principles, but don't come to conclusion that there is Krishna. Yajnik Brahmins, Karma Kandis, correct? They're busy in other demigods. Right. Understand existence of God, but don't engage in devotional service. Jnanis and impersonalists, mental speculators. So basically, these are four levels of demoniac nature. Okay, so not only four types, but also four levels. Now, what are the consequences of disobedience? ये त्वेतत् अभ्यसूयन्तो नानुतिष्ठन्ति मे मतं सर्वज्ञानविमूढांस्तान् विद्धि नष्टान् अचेतसः. So I'm starting with this consequence of disobedience because then you understand the consequences of obedience. So those who out of envy disregard these teachings and do not follow them regularly are to be considered bereft of all knowledge, befooled and ruined in their endeavors for perfection. So with disobedience, you can never get any progress on spiritual path. अज्ञाश्च अश्रद्धधानश्च संशयात्मा विनश्यति नायं लोकोऽस्ति न परो न सुखं संशयात्मनः. For such a person, they fall down and there is no happiness in this world or in the next. And actually, even devotional service performed without the injunction, following the reference or having reference to scriptures, without following injunctions of scriptures, is actually chaotic. Which was? Yeah. Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidhim Vina Aikantiki Harer Bhakte Utpatya Kalpate. And this I told you. That Diti, she approached at the wrong time and Kashpa warned her, but she did not listen. Yash Shastram Vidimutsijya Vartate Kamakarataha Nasasiddhim Avapnoti Na Sukham Na Param Gatim. There's neither perfection nor happiness nor supreme destination. So basically, through disobedience, you don't get anything. You may have been the illusion of spiritual progress, but actually, you're not going anywhere. It's a static boat. And also, these people, the demoniac who don't listen to Krishna, they are in the illusion of advancement. Like today, everyone wants Ram Rajya, but they don't want Ram. So that's actually Lanka, which will be burned. They'll be burned by their own people. And all their advancement, advancement for, um, more and more sense gratification is only making them more violent and cruel. There's abortion, there's nuclear weapons, and so on and so forth, which is only threatening for a massive massacre. And through this steps for advancement, the man is becoming attached to two things: accumulating more wealth and sexual indulgence. Only those two. Hiranya and Kashyap. He's the role model for 21st century Earth planet. Hiranyakashipu ki jai. Prabhupada said ki jai. He said the benevolent Hiranyakashipu because Shriman Hiranyakashipu because of him Lord Narasimha and because of which we have Narasimha also. Because of which devotees could enter theatre. And withdrawal of natural resources. So when Vena was creating so much disruption in Brahmanical activities, then Mother Earth just withdrew all her resources, and there was great drought and famine all over the world. And hellish destinations, Trividam, Naraka, Sedam, lust, anger, greed, everyone actually glide down to hellish planets. And Krishna says, Kshipam Yajasram Ashubhan Asureshva Eva Yonishu. Means I personally put all of these people these disobedient living entities into demoniac species. Why? Because they come to that point when I will sever them, and that is what is required for them to learn the lesson. That's Krishna's kindness. What is the result of obedience? Ye me matam midam nityam anuttishtanti manavaha shraddhavanto anusuyanto muccante tepi karmabhihi. That those who are obedient to my word, they become free from the bondage of fruitive activity. That means liberation. And Prabhupada says, very important. So keep your ears open. In the beginning of Krishna consciousness, one may not fully discharge the injunctions of the Lord because many a time we have spiritual weakness or we don't have full faith. But one who is not resentful of this works sincerely without consideration of defeat and hopelessness. He will surely be promoted to the stage of pure Krishna consciousness. Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai. So not resentful means you're doing fasting on Ekadashi. You're not cursing that, oh, Ekadashi came, or why this Ekadashi is there like that. But rather you work sincerely to the best of your possible might without consideration of defeat or hopelessness. And when we surrender or obey the word of God, there's success on material realm also. So many of us don't like this idea that you become a spiritual success and a material failure. That's actually not spiritual success. When His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj had come to Manipal during my MBBS days, almost 2016 or 2015, something like that, he said that devotees of Krishna consciousness, the students, they are toppers in their class because through practice of devotional service, they have conquered their senses and controlled their mind. That is the natural result. If you're not coming there, we are not practicing bhakti properly, right? And hence, this is the words of a great Mahabhagavat Vaishnava that devotees of Krishna consciousness are naturally victorious and successful in life. But we somehow have some kind of a fanatical, immature understanding of Krishna consciousness that we dissect and bifurcate the two. Material life, failure hona hai, so that Amar Jivan we can tell with feeling, and then spiritual success, we will we'll become successful in spiritual life because humility naturally is forced upon by material life. It's all nonsense, right? So rather you see Yudhishthir, yeah, kamam vavashya parjanya sarva kama dugamahi sishichu sishichu sma prajan gavah payaso dasvatir muda nadya samudra girayah savanaspati viruda palantyoshata sarvaha kamam anvritu tasya vai. So here is describing, the Bhagavatam is describing Yudhishthir's reign. He was not a material failure. When he was ruling, all the cows had big fatty milk bags, and as they would run in ecstasy, they would drip milk and wet the pasture grounds. Now if we go, it's wet because of the rain. So much rain, which we don't want. But that time it was also wet with milk. Right? That was the greatness of Yudhishthir's reign. And all there was so much prosperity, pearls in the ocean, minerals in the soil, trees and mountains, etc. etc. Right? So Krishna gives so many sutras in Bhagavad Gita: how to work, how to eat, how to have balanced lifestyle, how to be peaceful, how to become devotee, how to overcome modes, how to do charity, how to practice austerity, how to give up laziness. All this, how much are we practicing? And then we are ready to blame Krishna that Krishna, I followed you and I'm not getting any success. Right? And rather we give negative connotations to Krishna. What if Krishna wants to force me to become humble? Then as Vaman Dev, he took everything from Bali. So he'll force me, and what is that verse? Yasyaham anugrinnami harishyeta dhanam shanai. Like that. Don't worry, we are not so advanced that Krishna will do with us. When Bali was a subject to Krishna's mercy in that way, Bali was ecstatic to do it. He went against Shukracharya to do it. But it's not so for our case because we are still attached. So Krishna is not sadist. Krishna is not cruel. Actually, he gives us what we want. And in that way, we should never attach negative connotations to Krishna because when at the time of desperate need, we can never take shelter of Krishna. And I'm saying, I put this point because I know many people, students, engineering or doctor, etc., etc., they complain. Actually, at this time, I joined Krishna consciousness. Henceforth, I was never a topper. I know. Okay, so this is not the way it's supposed to be. This is all mode of ignorance. And Samudra Manthan Leela, how Krishna, initially the demigods went to Krishna. The demons have conquered us. What to do? And Krishna could have just defeated the demons, but he wants the demigods also to surrender and to undergo purification. He said, make truce with the demons. He said, don't be greedy for so many things coming out of the samudra. And third, be focused on the goal. What is the goal? Amrita. And also he said, don't be afraid of the Kalakota poison. So all this heads up was given by Krishna to the demigods. The demons were completely bewildered doing all these things. And then, demons could not get nectar. They were so much agitated by Kalakuta poison. They were so much greedy and lusty that they got distracted by Mohini Murti, right? So in that way, they lost the nectar. So who was materially successful in this ordeal? Demigods. Why? Because they obeyed Krishna's word. So once a person asked, Swamiji, what if there is no God? So he said, you know, daily we are waking up early in the morning, we are having a balanced diet, we are taking prasadam, which is so sumptuous. We are going on Harinam Sankirtan, we are simply blissful, feasting and dancing and chanting the holy name of Krishna. So, if there's no God, is there any loss? Because we are healthy, we are peaceful. And today, so many patients come because they have hair loss. Why they have hair loss? Because so much tension, right? Telogen effluvium. So much tension, they lose all hair. They have no deficiency, but only deficiency of Krishna in the mind, right? So, and he said, but you consider in case Krishna exists, that you are going on breaking the four regulative principle, what might be your fate, right? And these are examples of success on spiritual realm. That divine protection, Vipra Dharma Achyuta Ashrayaha. So when Draupadi, so many times Pandavas were helped doing the, Durvas Muni and doing Draupadi Vastraharan, etc., etc. Krishna was there for them. Ishwarapuri, he was favored by spiritual master because he acted in accordance with the spiritual master. Whereas Ramchandrapuri was, disappointed the spiritual master and he became a blasphemer. And Raghunath Das Goswami, he was so wealthy he could offer 20 item feast to all the thousands of Vaishnavas there. But he did what? Chidadahi. So humbling, right? But he just obeyed Nityantu and he got the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And as Prabhupada explains in the last part of the purport, that when we simply obey the word of God, then it can help us to revive our eternal relationship with Krishna, and that is spiritual perfection. So it's not that by obey the injunctions of scriptures and word of God, you become only spiritually successful and materially a failure, but rather you become successful in all spheres of life, and this is confirmed by the Dwarkapuri Vasis. Right? So once His Grace Shadbhuj Gaurang Prabhu was coming to Bangalore, and he has some motion sickness, especially if he sits in a closed vehicle. So then Rajakrishna Prabhu asked one devotee to book a bike, two-wheeler. He thought, why bike? Proji आए हैं ना वहां से तो NIT Warangal. So we should book a car. So he booked a posh car. And then they were so disappointed because he did not know about Shadbhuj Prabhu's motion sickness. So in that way, sometimes we may think that we can outsmart the superior, but actually just by following the simple injunctions and word of the superiors, we can make lot of progress. And at once, we can evolve our obedience to such a level that we become submissive. And at that point, you can even understand the heart of the superior. But most of us are not on that platform and we should not artificially enact it. Śrīla Prabhupāda ki, sorry for rushing through. After rushing through, it's 8:46. I tried my best. So if there are any questions or comments and feedback other than don't go beyond time next time, because that the authorities have taken note. Any questions you can ask. So officially class has ended. If anyone wants to partake in prasadam, you can also feel. Guru Puja is also there. Right. Sections. Okay. Correct. Yeah.
Only understand our practicing as a practicing where to draw that line that I am doing the writing for myself rather than just
Correct.
finding.
Yeah. Thank you. Very important question and clarification. So it is said one must surrender with intelligence and not surrender the intelligence itself, which means it's not disobedience to clarify one's position in especially in spiritual life, because one should not be faking in spiritual life. It won't go for long. Rather clarifying one's position, saying that my dear spiritual master, my dear Vaishnava, I'm not able to follow this because of so and so reasons, and this is what. So what do you suggest? Then the guru or the superiors will consider the request and they can change it. So that is not disobedience at all. So it is just clarifying. So that is very important. What Dhruva told Narad Muni, he said, I cannot follow. What you're saying is for Brahmanas, and my Kshatriya blood is boiling at just remembering the words of Suruchi. So I cannot follow yours. Please, if you don't have anything, more than this to say, step aside. Telling Guru to step aside. So then Narad Muni said, I was just testing. The whole point is honesty is the most important aspect for spiritual, progress. If you are faking, you put a persona of a great devotee in front of others, and inside your lower modes are boiling and boiling and boiling and causing so much trouble, then you won't make any progress because there's no fixity on Krishna. Rather, just reveal your heart as it is, and the Guru will naturally give you the most optimum instruction that you can follow, which is most applicable and relevant for you. And that way, we all from wherever stay far, uh, rung of ladder of bhakti progress we are in, from there we pick up, pick on. But if we say that we are there and then actually we are here, then Krishna, the Guru will say, okay, you make a step so that you can go that next rung. But actually we are here. We can't even reach with our hands or anything. So then it's all simply bogus and show bottle. So honesty and clarification with my theoretical understanding. Yes. Yes. Let me take you to Prabhupada. Śrīla Prabhupāda Vacha. In the beginning of Krishna consciousness, one may not fully discharge the injunctions of the Lord, but because one is not resentful of this principle, works sincerely without consideration of defeat and hopelessness, he will surely be promoted to the stage of pure Krishna consciousness. Okay, so what we should do, like today's class is on obedience. That's the first thing. So we have to take guidance, follow the scriptures, practice especially attentive chanting of the holy name. Just like the materialists take human form of life for granted, the devotees take the holy name for granted. See, proportion is same. Correct. Now, we take it so cheaply. That's the reason we don't make much progress. But as Prabhupada says here, when we follow the guidance of superiors, of scriptures, of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, etc., then we definitely will make progress. It's just a matter of time. And of course, there are elements of sincerity and there are elements of no duplicity, simplicity. Then there are elements of no Vaishnava offense. So all these are like details. But the whole point is if you're obeying, if you're sincerely working in this aspect, Prabhupada says, surely be promoted. And when Mahabhagavad Vaishnava says surely, Krishna makes it a point to make it true. Satyam vidatum nijabhritya bhashatam. Okay. Any other question? Yes, yes.
And therefore they were able to develop that love for institutions. So Prabhupada explains people that it remains to follow our prescribed duties. Now prescribed duties can be via people masters, or via partner. If we follow them genuinely, then gradually this process that can be set up by one of the masters that can be set up by Krishna is so perfect that one is elevated so much negatively that gradually comes to the automatic level of payment.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Okay. Any other question? Really? Yeah. Okay. Before I answer the question, I would like to thank all the online devotees. Rupa Raghunandan Mataji, Jahnavi Mataji, Ipsita Mataji, Prashantu, who is also offline, and ISKCON Sarjapur Road. Hare Krishna. So,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
there is ego element in surrender. When you put aside your opinion and listen, accept another opinion, that's purification of ego. No, it's like too much words actually. No, just like simplistically saying, we surrender with intelligence means that don't give you a full thing and just do blind faith. Blind faith is not encouraged. Surrender with intelligence means even though you're surrendering, there should be independent thoughtfulness. Independent. So Krishna mean Krishna consciousness means fully dependent. Correct now? Freedom means dependent on Krishna. Very independent. But actually, when you hear the word of spiritual master, there's dependence. When you fulfill it, the spiritual master is not going to say, okay, Yogesh, you should do this. Okay, next Prabhu, next. No, he's not going to give you details. So there's scope of independent thoughtfulness. But that is under that principle is subordinate to the principle of surrendering one's ego. Then they can be independent thoughtfulness because your intelligence will not run here and there. Haywire. Okay? Mine is also too much word vocabulary. So the whole point is when you're accepting another opinion above yours, that is sacrifice of ego. And when you accept that opinion to fulfill the instruction, you have some scope of using your intelligence. Understood? And when we say surrender with intelligence, that means that even though you know that that's completely, even though you feel that it is completely irrelevant for you, no, I'll just do it because Guru said. That's very good, but artificially we cannot do it. Submissive, when we come to submissiveness, we can do it. But artificially, when you do it, you become frustrated, like pressure cooker in the heart. Rather, you should clarify. Understood, no? Because we may not put our full self in front of Guru. So he'll give something thinking, that you're this level. But then actually you're this level. Then Guru has to know about it. So like that. So basically, when you accept another opinion, it is ego purification. And under that, subordinate to that principle, whatever intelligence you're using it is to fulfill the opinion or instruction of the spiritual master. Hence, that independent thoughtfulness is sanctioned. If you cannot convince, you should confuse. If you cannot confuse, then you should confess. Okay, this last question, no? Because Saturday is a busy day in hospital. You tell it. You just speak the context. Like Prabhuji was asking question, but he said first, let me tell you my understanding, then. So like that, you just clarify it. Actually, it's not so rocket science, so much of a rocket science. The problem comes in we have too many unnecessary barriers of communication, or oh, what will he think, or what will she think, and this, that, that. All that Prabhuji is saying, just tell Prabhuji this is the concern. Actually, I'm feeling this for some time, and this, and now this is the problem, or this is the issue I'm facing. So what can be done? So just speak the context. That requires faith. You have two people to put faith in, either the superior or your mind. Ultimately, everything is faith. You have seen the superior, he is good in his practice of Krishna consciousness. So you put faith that yes, he can guide me, then only you go to him. So once you go to him, then you should maintain that faith. Now, once you tell your question, then you cannot say that how do I know that whether he understood my problem? Then you can judge based on his advice. You feel okay, it's not relevant for me. Like if I go and say, Prabhuji, actually I'm, you know, facing this issue at workplace, then Prabhuji might tell me that okay, fine, you shift to another job. How can I shift? It's to get this job in only so then you can say because it takes a while to get job like this, etc., etc. So one, clarify the context. You only clarify context. Second, you have to maintain the faith with which you approach the person. Understood? Now you have to have faith that he is going to give me good counsel. Third, if it's irrelevant, just clarify again. What is the problem? Okay, no? Sorry if I'm not able to convince, but then you can ask superiors. They're there with more experience. So Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Mantadas Tantadas Chidram, Desha Kalahara Vastunaha, Sarvam Karoti Nischidram, Anusankirtanam. Tava.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Shri Guru Saranapaka Kirtala Bhakti-dara Saranapaka Kevala Shri Guru Saranapaka